Jesser Hejre.
Jesser.
Hejre.
Jesser Hejre or Ray.
Raye. Yep. Sure.
I got you. Oh, that's me on my other side. Yeah, I missed that. I'm sorry. I'm just getting it like it's the pregame. All right. Let's get to the hatab, man. Let's get to the culture, man. Rahobat Yasal Nafe Amun Reye. Panan Zamut Kawun Pa Ashen Zamut. All right. Ashen Zamut. All right. M Kabut Wahu. It is the 10th day of month 1. All right. It is the Kaman Zaman, 5th day, M Yabah Atu, 5th day of week 2. All right, so that is, and is the Shamut is Sabanu Talu. It is year 73 AT, according to that. That's one calendar, right? And then you have 2017 HA as well as 6017 AC Adams calendar. All right, so with that being said, we'd like to welcome all family tonight. Now, Jesser, correct?
Sure.
I want to make sure I'm pronouncing it right. All right. Now, I really don't have any questions. Like I said, I met you in Atlanta. All right, and everything was Gucci. Everything was cool. As you know, what you really represent. I don't know how to say it, what to say. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna let you tell the family what it is you represent and state where y'all coming from. So this way, I don't get things misconstrued.
Sure, no problem. First, I definitely want to say thank you for allowing myself, as well as for those of you who don't know, my brother is on here as well, allowing us on the platform to share with the family, give peace and love to the family, and explain and express where we're coming from. For those of you who don't know, maybe one of the reasons why we're even on here is because we were on Sonetta, about a week or two ago, and there was a title put out.
Oh yeah.
Nuwaupians dropping information. Yeah, exactly. I definitely wanted to clarify on that. You guys had some questions why we were even on there, so I want to express and explain how that came about. For one, I am a student of the master teacher. I'm a Nuwaupian. I was brought into the information and the culture as being a student by my older brother, who was on the show with me on Sonetta, and I'm going to introduce him for a second right quick. Petty Sina Tebture.
Hey, Raul Bat, family.
You can see.
Raul Bat yourself.
Raul
Bat.
All right. And he's been a student of the master teacher going well back before me. So first, to address why we were on that show in particular, it was interesting. A lot of people didn't even speak on this. A few years ago, I was able to build and construct an African wall art piece for Sonetta, and it's the wall art piece that y'all see. If any of y'all watch his videos on Sonetta, where he's actually inside his home in the studio, the big black Africa carving, I personally built that for him. And as him being thankful, and we met a few times before, we were walking down through in Harlem, and he's gracious enough to bring us onto the show and just show love and, give our little spiel, pretty much like a 19-minute commercial for what our project is. And I will say, as students of Dr. York, the master teacher, we put out a separate project, which is a Black History Encyclopedia project called NoopooH. And this project is going back to, goodness, what was this, 2007?
Yeah, that's when I started.
2007 when this project started. So I know nowadays some of the confusion coming up is the Nupu brothers with this anti-Nuwaupian sentiment and our name of our site, NoopooH. And we definitely wanted to come clear all of that up, all those questions about, Nupu, where we're coming from, while we use the name Nupu, our stance as students, which we are students of the master teacher, and who we are and what we're doing. And basically, we're in the Atlanta area, Metro Atlanta. This project we've been pushing, like, it's going on a decade now. And the whole point of it is to make an interactive, online African cultural reference encyclopedia, where it's teaching all Black history throughout the planet, throughout time, where we can authenticate all of our information, all of our stories, all of our history, to teach general Black history and to bring about a Black consciousness for all people around the planet. And, well, that's my first bit. Patsy, you want to say what's up to
Yeah, no. Basically, what we're saying is that, yeah, I started this project myself back in 2007. I chose the name Nupu. One of the reasons why I chose the name is to, one, identify for those people who understand what a Nuwaupian is kind of linking it up with letting people know, yeah, I'm a Nuwaupian, but I didn't want to tag it Nuwaupian because of the fact that that's something for the office to deal with. Anything, I didn't want people to think I was directly affiliated with the office or anything like that. But at the same time, I wanted people to know that I'm working on this encyclopedia project and I'm a Nuwaupian. So that's kind of where the name came from. It's just sad, or I should say unfortunate, years later you get these guys like Tarnoon and them, and they're using the terminology Nupu, and they're saying all these negative things. And it's funny because when people hear us use the terminology, they're misconstruing it today, thinking that we're associated with them when we're not. It's a business name. That's exactly how we use it, because it's tied to the website. That's all it is. It's we use it as our business, and it represents the encyclopedia. So we was on Signetter to promote the encyclopedia project. That was the whole purpose of doing an interview with him, is to let the public know, hey, we're working on an encyclopedia project that's never really been done. The problem is people who come on Signetter, people who teach and talk about Black history, we constantly have to go to foreign sources to authenticate our information, our story. And that's where our project comes into play, where we're saying Black people need to be able to authenticate their own history. And so that's kind of where we feel we should work on an encyclopedia project that is controlled, ran, operated by Black people.
That's beautiful.
I'm feeling that. But now, all right, and you definitely cleared about that with the Tarnoon dude, because he's off the chain.
Yeah,
so that's good. No affiliation there. We got that.
Yeah,
so now, who is your man's? Hold on, Kansu. Hold on 1 second. Who is your man's that was saying he had the calendar project? He was on Sonetta TV. He said he was, I don't know, I guess Nupu, for lack of a better word. And he was saying, yeah, and then he said that Dr. York plagiarized Afro Unu's books.
That's not the same.
With him either, right?
No, we don't have any affiliation to him either.
That's one of the things we were trying to address with Sonetta. A lot of the misinformation, because we actually battled with Tarnoon on this issue in regards to the fact that we were telling him, you're lying to people. You're lying to people when you said that you know who Afro Uno is. You're lying to people when the guy he was claiming was Afro Uno. That was a lie. We confronted him with that. So that's kind of, unfortunately, we kind of gone back and forth with him on that particular issue. But you know, he's not going to tell the truth. He unfortunately, he wants to push whatever concepts out there that he wants to push. And, you know, that's the unfortunate part, I guess. But a lot of people don't know. A lot of the stuff that he's saying is actually not true. When it comes to when he's trying to talk about as far as the information dealing with the nature books that came out in regards to our information. So some of that stuff we was trying to clear up and address. But you know, it's here there. I just say that the stuff that those guys are putting out, they kind of have an advantage on Nuwaupians if Nuwaupians really haven't studied the nature information, basically. Because anyone who studies the nature information, and you look at the information that the master put out, which is the non-ball Bible interpretations and explanations, you can clearly see it's the exact same information, basically. And so the master made it very clear that he put out Bible interpretations in the non-ball. And it was a lot of confusion when I got hold of the nature, basically, at the time, because me and brothers that was dealing with it, we were asking a lot of people in the organization, and I tell people this all the time. I was at the time I was dealing with Fatima, the master's niece, and I told her, I gave her my copy of the books, and I said, give this to the master, because she was going up, you know, she would go up weekly to see him. And I said, give it to him. And I told her, ask him what he, you know, is that our information? So she said she did. She took the copies that I had. She gave it to him. She asked him, you know, she asked him a question. And his response, according to her, she told me that he told her, well, what do you think? You know, so,
okay.
As far as I'm concerned, when you look at the Bible interpretations information that we put out, the non-ball information we put out, and you compare it to the information in the Nupu, the nature, it's exactly the same information. And if people look at the actual facts that we're putting out now, you see that the master is actually beginning to use that terminology, because no one knew about that terminology when we were talking about it back in 2000.
Kansu,
Yo,
they froze up.
yeah, I was like, I was wondering if that was my end or not.
Nah, that ain't me and you. That's on them. Give them a minute.
Yeah, because when you sent me the link, I was like, when you said we going on with the Nupus tonight, I was like, the Nupus or the Nuwaupians?
I don't really like to say that. That's why I say, you know, I appreciate them even reaching out to me to want to build, because they definitely clarifying some things. Because
it's so funny because I mean, I don't mean to cut you off, but you know, I've seen the brother's video a while ago, actually, a couple months ago, and I was like, okay, you guys tune back in. I was talking to him just so you know we won't have this long gap of silence.
Yeah, excuse us.
I didn't know
You all right?
or what y'all guys heard. I don't know, but y'all can, you know, if y'all have any questions or anything like that for us, then we'll be happy to try to address it.
Well,
yeah,
I was actually saying, my brother, I seen your video a few months ago, maybe about 4 months ago, and it was actually your video. I'll tell you exactly which one it was. You were explaining in the video what is Nupu, and you were talking about the degrees of Nupu, and I was like, dang, it's so funny because I was like, man, I want to build with that brother. Then I seen you guys again on Sonetta. I was like, once again, dang, I wouldn't mind building with those brothers. And here we are coming full circle and got you guys on the show. So I'm really excited about this because I get to ask you guys the questions. We get to build on this for sure. Oh yeah, this is exciting. Now, just for some of our viewers who may or may not know, could you explain to people what the name Nupu means from the Nuwaupian standpoint? Because as many know, there is a negative connotation towards Nuwaupians with that name, with a different group of people who base their doctrine out of the nature books and Afro Uno and everything of the sort. So, could you explain what the word Nupu means from our perspective?
Okay, well, one of the things I tried to explain to individuals, if people, and you know, this is one of the arguments that what's his name, Chuck Morgan, he argues. People think that in the name Nuwaupu, that was something new, and I argue no, that wasn't new, in the sense that the master teacher back in 1970, actually before that, we were calling ourselves the Nubian Islamic Hebrews. The word Nubian, the word Nuwaupian, the word Nupu are really the same thing, because what we're talking about is when you look at the prefix is the same in the word, which is new. The suffix, which is the ending, you have pu, or you have bu, basically. Now, when you look up the definitions, like the master put, I think if you read the beginning book, and there's something me and my brother were talking about before, the definition of the ending of that particular word, pu, it actually has a Hebrew origin, and it means expansion, or all expand. It means expansion, basically. And you had the word new, going back to ancient Kemet, dealing with the creative waters of life, basically. It's also synonymous with the word we use as pa'ut, which is the all creative source. And so when you say Nupu, it actually means what we use the definition of pa'ut, which means all expanding. That's really what the word Nupu actually means when you break up the word phonetically, basically, with the prefix and the suffix. And when you add the word Nuwaupu, when you add the wa in the middle, that particular syllable stands for wind or movement in our language, basically. So when you break down the word in its totality, basically it's the creative force moving, all expanding, which is what creation is all about. Expanding creation, mental energy, basically, to try to give an English definition to it. And so Nubian, Nuwaupian, Nupu, Nuwaupu, they're all the same. They're all the same words using different types of, I would say, expressions to explain it. Because the word Nubian is the same thing. Nu and being mean existence. So the existing force in creation, or that creation force, when we use the word Nubian. And so all the master did was modify in 1990 and say, okay, from Nubian, we went from Nubian to Nuwaupian. And it was just a modification in the syllables. So there was no real change in a sense, because the master's he always taught his origins, basically being the son of Al-Mahdi from the Muhammad Ahmed of the Sudan. Where was the Muhammad Ahmed born? He was born in Nubia, basically, which is why the master taught that the name, originally what we called ourselves, he said, was pure Sufi. And that goes back to the Mahdi. And that was, in their language, they called it the Khalawati order of the Sufis. Now, the Sufi order goes back to ancient Kemet for those who don't, for those who know. For those who don't know, they don't know. But the Sufi order, they thinking that started with the Prophet Muhammad, but in reality, it actually goes back to ancient Kemet. And so, because people don't know the history and what the master was basically trying to explain, because he always taught, he came teaching our ancient cultures. People don't even realize that the Prophet Muhammad family, they were Shriners. They were all Shriners. And all this stuff goes back to, again, this was a blending in. The Prophet Muhammad represented a blending in between the Sumerian doctrine that we had, that our ancestors had, and the Nubian or the African doctrine, which is why he called us Nubian Islamic Hebrews. That Hebrew, which is the Sumerian aspect of our bloodline, which goes back to the Anunnaki, and the Nubian aspect of our bloodline, which goes back to ancient Kemet, basically, and the Islamic, which is going back to Ishmael. Ishmael being that from Muhammad, all people who understand Islam knows that the Prophet Muhammad claimed he went back through the tribe of Ishmael by way of Kedar. Ishmael comes out of Abraham being Sumerian, and his mother Hagar being Egyptian. So that was the time of the two natures that the master is talking about now, that we have a bloodline that comes from the Sumerians, and we have a bloodline that comes from the Natharu. That's always been in our doctrine. It's just being updated today in the actual facts, where now he's clear about it, about this Anunnaki bloodline and about this Natharu bloodline. So what always saying is that our information was always the same. It's just being updated consistently based on the culture, based on the mentality of the people, and so on and so forth. So that's
keep rolling, Consul. Keep rolling.
Okay, yeah, that's beautiful. Most definitely. And also updating it from according to the language. Because once we go into the culture, language expresses only a certain amount based upon what's expressed through the culture. Meaning that if we're Hebrews, we're speaking Hebrew, we're understanding the Hebrew aspect of how it correlates to the Hebrew culture, right? Then once we go to or the Islamic, we study it from the Islamic point of view through Arabic. In that particular dialect, we get more or less overstanding and more information from that point of view. And then once we go to, just like how the master told us, okay, once we read the Quran in Arabic, we read it and then once we learn Hebrew, we read the Hebrew, and now reread the Quran, you get a different position on your opinion of the Quran. So it's the same thing, adding to what you were saying as far as just getting deeper into the meaning once you learn multiple languages and once you combine the two, and that's how we got Nubic, the combination of different Semitic languages. So definitely be able to relate to that.
Yeah, and let me just say this. I would say I was a Ansar. I lived in a community in Bushwick, and one of the things that the master drilled on us, he drilled this. He said, "You're a Muslim. We're Muslims, but we're not like those pale Arabs." He kept drilling to us. He said, "You guys, you're Muslim by nature," which is why when we gave the definition of Islam, we said Muslim meant one of peace. And he kept saying that black people, you're peaceful by nature, basically. And so my point and why I'm bringing that up is because we always made a distinction between the Islam that we represented and the Islam that the pale Arabs, by way of, if anyone knows the history of Abu Bakr, it started the Sunni Islam, blah, blah, blah. But we always argue we had nothing to do with that. Which is why what we were trying to teach at that time, we were trying to explain that our bloodline and our version of Islam, that goes back to ancient Samaria, back to ancient Kemet. We're the only ones that was talking about that, which is why the Mahdi Muhammad Ahmed, if you look at his flags, his symbols, he had the pyramids on his symbols. Basically, no Muslim identifies with the pyramids of Egypt.
Nope.
And so what we always made that distinction. He said the only reason why we're coming out of Islam because they defiled the culture and turned it into this bastardized religion that they had. They took our culture and they messed it up in essence. But a lot of people are saying a lot of, I would say, negative and disagreeable things because they don't know the history and they don't know the origins of why we said certain things, basically. And so again, this is part of the reason why we even wanted to do an encyclopedia project, basically because we feel it's important for Black people to authenticate our own story. And we're saying to people, listen, we're Nuwaupians, that's first and foremost, right? But a lot of people aren't ready for our doctrine, unfortunately. So again, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't learn Black history, because once our people begin to have a consciousness of Blackness and learn about the greatness of our Black history, it's going to lead them back to right knowledge. This is what our agenda and this is what our goal is to lead our people, to get them in a Black conscious state of mind that will lead them back to right knowledge, which is going to lead them to Nuwaupu, which is our origins anyway. And so that's kind of what our focus has been. It's just sad, I guess, for me, when these Tarnoon guys, they come on here and they're making all their dogma and talking all they talk to people about this Afa'unu and Nupu and all this other stuff, and it just convoluted the conversation and confusing people. And some of the things we're trying to do is clear that up, because like I said, we was talking about Nupu way before this guy came on the scene. And we're using that term. And like I said, the master was using the term Nupu because that's what one of the games he named on the land that the children used to play on the land. It was called Nupu. And in fact, I got the book, basically. So the name is not new. The name is not new. It's not new at all, basically.
Yep, I remember that because the book was called, what was the book called? Nuwaupu, right?
Nupu, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so yeah, it is what it is. Obviously, people, what we're just trying to do is clean up the misconception and confusion that some people may have, and that's all that we're doing.
Oh, you're doing a pretty good job of clearing it up. Did y'all get a chance to come by the Zed Festival up in NY? In case I was there, but did y'all get a chance to come through?
We saw you.
Yeah,
we were there.
Oh, y'all were there.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Where was y'all at? Why did y'all stop and say something, man? Wait, hold up.
I was the time when we passed you was filming, so
yeah,
we was
in the book. We was in the book, so I was buying books, and you kind of walked by. Basically, was he filming? Then he kind of walked out. Yeah, so then we were caught up.
I wouldn't have mind. I would have stopped that. Well, because what it is that everybody knows we working on unity, right? Yeah. And you don't want to see, because like I say, all right, y'all in tune with Brooklyn, y'all know what it is. All right, so then now we're clearing up that no affiliation with these slanderers, this, that, and the third. And I do like the Encyclopedia project, because we were just talking the other day about how when you want to confirm something, that we always have to go to Google, Bing, Yahoo, these Caucasian search engines, right, to verify African research, whether it's Dr. York, Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, whoever. Yeah, I mean, and so an encyclopedia or a database that y'all putting together, oh, that sounds love right there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's needed. Oh, that's needed.
It is, because
definitely needed.
I tell you what, because I'm a businessman as well. I have a business called the Spirit of Nuwaupian. We're actually working on our own website as well in the near future. However, when I do set up, I set up my stand and everything, I vend and everything. I have people come up, I got a lot of unks and everything like that. And I know when I first got started, I had people come up and say, "You got some nice stuff here." And I'm like, "Oh, I appreciate it, thank you." And they'd be like, "You got anything from West Africa?" And it was like, well, at the time, I did not. And I was like, no, mostly just have unks and mostly Eastern inspired jewelry pieces. And you're like, oh, okay. So they didn't actually buy anything from, but later on, I got to think about that. You know what? I do need to incorporate. So I did get some other pieces. I got some other work. I got some chokers from West Africa. Then I got some of the ivory. I got some of the jiname, which actually I did have some in the very beginning, but I had sold out because I do handcrafted jewelry and everything. Usually first come first serve. But I did start getting more of the jiname and more of the Adrinka symbols just to appease, everyone's connection, because not everybody was Egyptian, Kemetic, Tamaran, whatever. Not everybody was East African. Culture was worldwide. Not everybody resonates with that. Some people might resonate with Akan, or which still really is East African, because that was a migration. But some people might, connect to, I'm thinking of the Nok culture. You know what I'm saying? So some people might resonate with other West African cultures, and I respect their connection. As long as we dealing with African consciousness, as a whole, I can respect that.
Yeah,
all right, so y'all got anything else? Keep building, fam. I mean, like I said, I never really did have any questions. Like I said, when I met y'all in Atlanta, I was very happy to meet you. I really never just didn't have any questions. Y'all know how I get down. I bang on slanders, man, not on people who building. Yeah. You feel what I'm saying? And I'm glad to know and to hear that you was at the Zed Festival. Like I said, I saw who he caught for a hot minute. I just didn't have time to build with everybody, because I only stayed for probably a day and a half, because like I said, my transportation was really all off.
Right.
And and I really, would have loved to just flew, but nevertheless, what are some of the projects in the Atlanta area that y'all have going on, if any?
Well, for one, we hold chess nights, free chess nights out in the Lithonia area. If anybody wants
Is
to
that
come
right?
out, free chat. Exactly. Know the family would love that. Friday nights from
Mm-hmm.
6 to 8. It's a vegetarian restaurant in downtown Lithonia called Green Love Kitchen. I can't remember the exact address, but it's off of Main Street in downtown Lithonia, right by the train tracks, if y'all know where that general location is. Downtown Lithonia is tiny. So yeah.
You could snap your fingers and
Hold
you
the
done drove
chefs.
by it, huh?
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. We hold our classes Saturdays, as well as they have the Lithonia Market, where we hold a table down out in downtown Lithonia. It's that, the cab is still ripe, for us to really make some big moves. So we're definitely, making connections out here, trying to build as much as we can, link up with different people, address a lot of the needs and, bring camaraderie, bring culture to the people, to the city.
And yeah, one of the things I want to talk about is also in connection with our site, because it's a two-part project basically, because we also have what's connected to the website. It's called Nuwaupian, Nupu Community Circle, and basically we set up our own social network engine. And what that's all about is it's designed for Black people all over the world to come together to network, as far as culturally and the network economically. And so we're working on a major database of Black businesses globally, so that our people, like the brother was talking about, he wanted to get products from the continent. So we're trying to make connections with African countries and to get access to different products for those individuals to get on our site, where people can get on our site and get access to Black products globally, basically. The way we set it up, though, it's a fee where people pay $19 a year to become a member, and the fee is being utilized because that's what's going to help us fund the Encyclopedia project. So, but the benefit of becoming a member is to be able to network basically with Black people globally. Like I said, two things: culturally and economically, because obviously the goal is for Black people to support each other economically and for us to exchange knowledge culturally. So the site is similar to how we use Facebook, basically, because we're using the same type of software that Facebook uses. We're still in the development aspect of that particular project, but it's functional, it's up and running. People can log in and become members.
You're talking about encyclopedia, so it's going to be like an app, so to speak.
No, this aspect of it is
it's a social networking site like Facebook.
Yeah, it's a social networking site,
yeah,
just like
love
Facebook,
to get on Facebook.
that we created. Yeah, basically, and so what we did actually, again, we're still working on that project. It's very functional, but there's still a lot of things that we have to fix and tweak, because we're working on the database aspect of it still. But we're still inviting people just to join, become members, because by doing that, that's helping us with the Encyclopedia project. Because just working on something like this, the cost is just astronomical. We already spent thousands of dollars of our own money just setting this up.
Let's get back to the Encyclopedia part. That's what I'm trying to understand. So in other words, like, for instance, if I wanted to research ancient Egypt or what have you, or Kundalini or whatever, and I would just like the encyclopedia itself. Is that going to be an app or an actual book, or is it going to be digital?
Encyclopedia is going to be just like Wikipedia, where you can go on the site and type in whatever name. If you want to learn about the life story of Michael Jackson, you can learn about it. If you want to learn about the life story of Amenhotep III, you'll learn about it. Basically.
I resonate with that, brother. That's so funny you said that.
Okay. Well, so see, now, like I said, nobody's really undertook this. Like, now let me ask you. Let me go somewhere totally different. All right. Let's talk about things like the ancient Egyptian order, or and things like that, and like, for instance, well, no, because I don't really know. You know what I'm saying? No, because like I said, I do like the project. That don't have nothing to do with. That's neither here nor there. But I wanted to ask you your opinion. not opinion or y'all breakdown, because me and Consul we've been rapping about this Kundalini energy. All right, can you give us a breakdown on what Kundalini energy is? Let's go into doctrine for a minute.
Okay, I mean, from what the masters taught us about.
Yeah, because I want Consul to hear from somewhere other than my mouth. This way. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, because I don't want him to grill me all night.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, I would say this. The whole core of our doctrine, I would argue, if you look at what we've been teaching from the inception of when the master started teaching us back in the 60s, all the way up until now, the core, or I would say the thesis of our doctrine, if you had to sum it up, what the whole agenda is all about, it's for Black people to turn themselves, what we call it, turn yourself inside out, basically. Because the master came and said, listen, he has 720 degrees of knowledge. Humans or mortals, you are functioning on 360 degrees, meaning everything you know is about the physical world, the physical plane. And what he was beginning to introduce us to is that you are more than what you see in the mirror. When you look in the mirror, and I ask this question to everybody all the time, I say, well, if you go to the mirror and you look at yourself in the mirror, I say, ask yourself one simple question. Are you what you see in the mirror, or are you the thought that made you walk to the mirror? And so the thing is that if an individual, now they have to contend with the question, if you say you're the thought that made you walk to the mirror, then that means that you had conscious awareness before your physical body. Then the next question comes up, why don't we remember that? And so the goal of our doctrine is to get our people to that realization, is to get back to the remembrance of what you are, as we'll say, as a spirit being, as an intelligent being that incarnated, which is why the master keeps saying, he said, I'm an incarnation. I incarnated into the body. But our people have a hard time dealing with that for such a long time. And in order to begin to deal with the reality that you are incarnation, you have to begin to make the distinction between your thoughts that activate or control the body, or the thoughts that control the brain, I should say, basically. Because the next question is, what is the creation of what? Is the brain a product of the mind, or is the mind a product of the brain? And so those are questions that I think we need to address. Each individual now needs to address those questions before we start talking about concepts like what you're saying, the Kundalini, for instance. Because now
I looked that up, right? And Kundalini is like a Hindu word. I watch videos after videos. I've been looking it up, doing research, and they all link you into 7 chakras. They all link you back to the doctrine of Hinduism in some form or fashion. I
agree. But this is why we talk about the Encyclopedia project, because see, it's like, do this. If you do this test, right? If you show people the picture of Imhotep sitting in a lotus position, and you just show the individual the picture and don't tell them who the person is, and you ask them, what's the first thought that come to your mind? They're going to think India. They're going to think a Hindu Swami looking at Imhotep. Through the brainwashing, the cultural brainwashing that was done to us, that when it comes to spirituality, our people have no concept that this comes out of Kemet, out of Africa, in essence, basically. But this is why you have someone like Russell Simmons, that he's going around talking about he studies Buddhism, and because our people don't know that we are the foundation of all of this knowledge. And so obviously that Kundalini is a Hindu terminology, something that they took, a teachings that they took from us, basically, and they coined those particular terms. And remember, the European is connected to the Hindu, and he comes out of the Hindu. So when he talks about concepts like spirituality, he goes back to the European, always is going back to the Hindu, blah, blah, blah. But it's a known fact. It's a known fact during, let's say, I think it was Thutmose. When Thutmose came into power in ancient Kemet, he started to conquer basically large portions of what we call the Middle East, all the way up to India, up to what they call the Ganges rivers. They call it the Ganges River, whatever.
That's
and they set up temples.
A river in India, which people do a lot of spiritual bathing in this river and all that.
Yes, exactly. So basically ancient Kemet, during the dynastic period, they had temples. Basically, they had temples all throughout the ancient world. Those temples, they said, stretched into Europe, and they went all the way into as far as India. So this is where a lot of these individuals were learning this information about the difference between the physical body and the spirit body, the energy body, that we as spirit beings incarnate into. And so they was learning about these energy centers. But remember, the master was saying they were learned about the 7 points of their body, but they never knew about the 9. That the Nupu body has 9 energy points, as opposed to the Hindu in them had 7 energy points. So when you start looking it up, you always hear about the 7 chakras. What we called in Nuwaupu, we said is the Arushat. The master called it Arushat. And he said we had 9 energy points, and these are seats, energy seats, that basically once you stimulate and get yourself to a certain vibratory rate, basically, you can transcend the physical body, meaning you can create the separation between the physical body and the spirit body. It's
no, that was well explained. Is this basic enough? It's not about, no, that was good enough for me. I'm good. Right there. I just wanted my brother to hear that. I'm sure he knew already, but I like that with other student teachers. See, that means we all on the same page, and there's no reason for, quote, division and separation, trying to say, well, they're over here and they're over here. And that's what we're eliminating. And that's because, you, like I said, you're dedicated and loyal to the master teacher, right? This is what he's talking about, where we are unified and all on one accord and one page.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? That's all.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would argue that is probably the most important aspect about doctrine, is this us beginning to deal with the reality that we're more than just physical, because it's a very difficult thing for our people to deal with, unfortunately, because we live in a physical world ran by very physical people, the Mukasu, we call them. That's all they know. Their heaven is here, so they can't transcend dimensions the way we can, so they're not going to address these things. Other than their scientists now beginning to talk about it with string theory. When people begin to study that, they're talking about different dimensions and stuff like that. So they are addressing it to some extent, because now they have what they call spiritual computers, basically, that now can read your what they call your aura and your energy body and stuff like that. So they're addressing it in their own way for the most part. But for the most part, they don't want to touch it, because they know that's where they lose the power, basically, because they have no rule when we move into other dimensional realities. And this is why they want people to remain a physical mind, to think about work, job, play, partying, anything to distract us from the realities of existence, which is what this whole culture is about, basically. And I think that's why the master gets so much flack, because he's trying to bring us into a conscious awareness of existence as a whole, basically, where our people are only satisfied with the physical aspect of life, or what we call here on a third dimension, and we won't even address the realities that there are other dimensional realities, basically. And I say it's very difficult for us to deal with the challenges here, because we're handicapped. It's like trying to fight in a boxing match against Mike Tyson, and you can only use the left side of your body, because if you're created as a physical being and a spirit being, but you're only using one aspect of your nature, you're handicapping yourself. And this is what our doctrine is trying to say.
Well, not only that, like, yeah, I've been stressing lately, we only using 7 to 10% of our brains. And that's definitely not fair. And then people want to call us ignorant, we're stupid, we're this or that, but we haven't activated our barotheric gland. We haven't really opened up all the chambers of our brain. And it's a concentrated effort to keep us from doing that. So how would you stress the importance of learning our language to people insofar as helping us opening up the chambers of our brain?
Well, we have to remember that the first thing that the Mukasu did to us during slavery is to snuff out the language. And you saw that in the movie Roots with Kunta Kinte. Which is why they had an emphasis trying to, making them say, no, your name is Toby, not Kunta. Toby, not Kunta. Because it's through the European language of speaking English now. It puts us on their vibratory frequency. That's like black people, we call ourselves African American, but there's nothing African about black people in America, because we've been taken out of the African tones and frequency. And that's what the master's been trying to do. And since his inception, he's stressed us the importance of language, and especially stop speaking European languages that have no tone. Our language of tone, basically, because everything in nature moves, it vibrates, it has a rhythm to it. And our language is a language of rhythm, which when we start speaking Nuwaupic, it begin to raise our vibration, our vibratory rate of our bodies. And that's the last thing that Dragon wants our people to acknowledge, the importance of language and the importance of speaking a language of tone. Because English literally has no tone to it. The only tone you will ever get out of English is when we created like hip hop and we try to put a tone to a really bland language. But when you look at Nuwaupic, the each word is based on a syllable tone. It creates a feeling, an emotion, a vibration, basically, that English doesn't have, could never have, and it's keeping our vibratory frequency of our physical bodies on a low energy and all. And so I think this is what the master is trying to stress now. When you look at the actual facts and master secrets, where he keeps reiterating these concepts. And I would say it makes it difficult though for a lot of people, especially if someone's new and they try to pick up one of our books and they see these particular words, basically, because he's trying to get us more and more to identify with our language, our tones, which is why when you read the Black Book, he said that is the key to breaking a spell. Literally, in the first chapter of the Black Book, the first few paragraphs is our language, our tones, our frequency, because we as Black people, we identify everything with the Caucasian, and we really are engulfed and in tune with his world, and we're in tune with nothing African. It's a hard sell trying to convince Black people that they're African. They don't want to hear it.
No, I don't know. You got people that to me they identify with African American.
Yeah, but
you see what I'm saying?
As long as it's American, then they resonate with it.
Right. There's nothing African about them, is what I'm trying to say. They'll use the name It's like this. And I always say to Black people who love America, if America was really honest, free, and fair, then you should be able to go to work in your African clothes. You should be able to speak in African language, basically, because then that would be real equality. You being able to live your culture without being discriminated against. But you can't. They won't accept you in Congress unless you have a suit and tie on, speaking a European language. So our people, they call themselves African, but you have to give up anything African culturally in order to exist in their culture, in their society. And that's why Black people won't do it.
And not to mention, if we're free, don't pay your taxes for 5 years or 10 years and see what happens.
Yeah, this is true.
All right. Any other questions, family? We're not gonna hold y'all for too long, but any other questions, family? Any other questions? Once again, family, give the plugs to your websites and your projects. Go ahead and get that in there, man, because like I said, I appreciate the build. You know, I mean, a lot of people thought, you know, we was gonna come on and get the banging and fighting like niggas tonight. And no. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, regardless of the slander, Chuck Morgan throwing, Tarnumbu throwing, the basic premise was cleared up that there's no association, no affiliation, right? And y'all have a project going on which is worthy to me, right? Y'all in tune with the master teacher. Y'all definitely support the master teacher's freedom. Paul Parral, #1, Brooklyn, New York, Rakum Wahoo. All right, and you're definitely on the Nuwaupu, so I don't see the problem. You see what I'm saying? And it's all good to me. Yeah, I mean, because like I said, we all going through something right now, and we definitely have the master teacher free, and or we all screwed, you know. So go ahead, get a plug, family. What you got going on, websites, all that.
Yeah, definitely. The website is www.nupu.org. That's NoopooH.org. That's the Encyclopedia project. You can also find Nupu Community Circle by the Become a Member link. There's a bunch of Become a Member links on the nupu.org site. For anybody who's in the Metro Atlanta area, definitely you guys can contact us. Our phone number is 678-961-8134, or you can email us at connect@nupu.org. That's CONNECT@NOOPOOH.org. We're doing our chess nights, free chess nights. Everybody who wants to play chess, come out to Green Love Kitchen off of Main Street in Lithonia. That's every Friday from 6 to 8 p.m. You can contact us or contact the restaurant. Also, we're doing the Lithonia markets. That's noon to 4 on Sundays. Definitely. And also, I wanted to add something else.
Go ahead, fam. Take your time. Go. Keep it rolling.
With the Nupu thing, that's something else also me and my brother have always been talking about. Tarnoon and all of them. When just from analyzing just the nature books, it's obvious to see that that's always been our doctrine. And there's some real key words and key phrases that are all painted throughout that information. Keywords that they need to be questioned on, like throwing around this Afro Uno as a person. Family, Afro Uno is a title.
So
and
whoa, slow down. You mean so the brother who wrote the nature, that wasn't Afro Uno?
Okay. Afro Uno itself is a title.
No.
And all it means is firstborn of the dead. And the first mentally resurrected of the African race. So I think all the Nuwaupians have heard that before.
So who's the one with the biography they said who wrote the book and he passed away in 1993 and
yeah. Let me clear that up. First of all, the guy they're talking about his name is Eugene Brown, right? The guy himself claimed he was not Afro Unos. I told Tarnoon that, and I don't know why he keeps telling people this. He was a student of Afro Uno. Ooh. That's all he said.
And there's a separate name. It's actually called Nuwaupu. That's
he gives his name, right? Yeah. He says his name. He said he gives his name as Nuwaupu. Now Tarnoon says he disregards that and says, well, the guy who sold the books claimed he was Afro Uno. I said, so what that the guy claimed it? The guy you claiming to be Afro Uno, he never claimed it. In fact, he said he wasn't. Afro Uno was from.
I don't know.
He said Afro Uno was born and raised in the Sudan.
He said the Sudan and motherland Africa.
That's so Afro Uno. So I asked him, I said, who else claims to be the firstborn of the dead and born in the Sudan? Because the guy that they're talking about, Eugene Brown, was born and raised in Georgia. And the guy Eugene Brown claims he is a student of Afro Uno. He says it on tape.
Ooh.
So they're lying. And I confronted him with that, and he wanted to hide and duck and hide. You know, they're lying. They're lying to the people.
But
So
like we've
that's
always, but like we've always said, and like the master teachers always point out, language and words are very important. And just a couple of other words in the nature books that's important is we already gave the definition and explanation of Nupu as according to right knowledge and the master teacher. But in the nature books, Nupu literally means sound right reasoning.
let me just clear this up to the family. Information is the doctrine that we know of that the master teacher put out. The only thing I would say the nature books have a reference for, what it focuses on is teaching people about the concepts of nature itself as a whole. Whereas, because I don't want people to get confused and think that we're promoting that people should read and study the nature books or anything like that.
Nah.
Our doctrine is complete in itself. If anyone chooses to read the nature book, they do work as a complement, because like I said, information that's in the 9 ball and Bible interpretations it's more in depth, basically. But when you look at the information that the master's putting out now and the actual facts and the master's secrets, he's already explaining that stuff anyway. He's going into depth into it now. So I don't want anyone to confuse our intent, because I don't want people to think that we're trying to push people to study the nature books when we're already explaining that information. The master already addressed it, and he's explaining it in detail more now as it is. And so we're just trying to clean up some of the lies that those guys were telling. And it's easy to tell that to people who didn't really study the information. But someone like myself who did study those books, I pointed those things out to him. And it's like, stop lying. Stop saying that this guy claimed to be something he never did. He said who he was. And he made it clear who he said Afro Uno was, basically. And the books were written anonymously, because in the books it said that you need to know the author as not as much as you needed to know the information. It was basically saying that don't worry about the author of the book, just worry about the information to see if the information was right or not. So I don't know why they keep trying to push some particular author, because it was never written like that. It was just put out, period. You know, like a ghostwriter. It's kind of how the information was put out. Period.
So your man's who made the calendar, who he says he has his own calendar, I forgot his name. Who was out there?
That guy has nothing. Yeah, let me clear that up. We don't know that guy.
Yeah,
that guy has nothing to do with us.
Yeah, because guys like him and Tarnuma, they're going around saying that the master teacher plagiarized. Can you clear that up? How the master teacher did not plagiarize any information from quote Afro Uno?
No, that's silliness. That's
of course.
This is what I'm trying to tell them. That's silly. The fact of the matter is, the master made it very clear that he is Amanubi Ru'akta. He made that clear in the 90s to the general public. Okay, he put out basically in the 90s. He put out a book. What was that book? That Chuck Morris likes to. Oh, I call him Chuck Norris. He likes to quote that book. I think, what's that book? I got over here, the Nuwaupu.
That was the Nuwaupu and Amanubi Ru'akta factor.
Yeah, right. I remember that.
Now the master made it very clear that he put out the 9 ball and Bible interpretations. Okay, if this guy who they claiming Eugene Brown that wrote that book, he had ample opportunity to challenge it, because the master put it out for the simple fact that people were questioning whether or not he put out that information and whether or not he is Amanubi with an Ukta.
He put that in 3 books.
They never, no one has ever challenged that, ever. And it's these guys who come on the scene saying those silly things. And so all I'm saying is that anybody who reads the Bible interpretations and the 9 ball can clearly see that the nature is the exact same information. Clearly, it's the exact same information. It's just it's an add-on in addition to what the Bible interpretations was talking about. But it's the same information. So the master made it clear. He wrote the Bible interpretations, and he said he wrote that back in 1967.
Right.
Period.
Because it's like he came with the straight. See, what people don't understand is that back in the 60s, he came with the straight juice of Wu Nuwaup back then, the straight juice, and saw that we as a people, my grandparents and so forth, weren't even ready for it. So he had to go the long way around 30 plus years to get us to the state where our minds to the state where what he gave back then, where we're ready to receive now. Ain't that something? It took 30 years to wake people up, combing through at least two to three generations of people who are just, you know, in a comatose and in a state of sleep. You know what I mean? And then you have the 4th of July weekend this weekend up in Chicago, almost 100 murders. And people still want to blame the white man for our problems. You know, yeah, the police are killing us. I'm not condoning that. That's wrong, and we all know this. But yet, African people are killing each other in this country at 3 times the rate, faster than what the police or any other race is killing us. And so, with the progression of Wu Nuwaup, I feel that the more the soldiers get this information in their minds and hearts, the killing is going to stop and slow down because their minds will be on something else.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I agree. And just to make another point for those individuals who still doubt it, if they read the Nature, it talks about the spell of Leviathan. Now, anyone who's been a student of the master teacher, the master put out 6 editions of the spell of Leviathan, the first being in 1971. So how can he have plagiarized information that he's the only one that's actually explained it? Because this guy they're claiming Afro Uno has no teachings anywhere teaching this information. In fact, apparently he lived as a Christian. There was nothing African about the brother. And so I have to slander the guy because I don't really know. Just saying, even when you look at the suit and tie, and his last days was with a European name, not an African name. And yet the master teacher lived as an African, always taught about Africa and being of an African people. He used to tell us back in the day in Brooklyn, he said if he had the power to take us back to the continent, he would. And he said one day we will go back because of the fact that it's our responsibility to take the continent back. He taught us that as ancestors. Because I heard that silly guy Chuck Morgan talk about how the African teachings is new, and I'm like, what is this guy talking about? And we learned that as ancestors. It was always about the continent, and that's where we came from. So I don't know. It's silliness. That's all it is. It's silliness what those guys are saying. But again, our information is the right knowledge. But the master has dedicated himself for the last 50 some odd years is teaching our people the right knowledge about who and what we are by natural nature. Period. I have to say.
All right. Kansu, anything you want to add?
Well, there's a question in here from Mutulu. I'm sure he probably want me to ask.
Shoot.
It's here, quote, this is from Mutulu Nun Unk Atum Reye, quote, he's talking about on your brother's YouTube page, the YouTube channel, the videos, origins of black women and black man. The brother was teaching Nuwaupic. Have they changed their position? So he's pretty much asking, in an older video you had on your YouTube channel, you were teaching Nuwaupic. He was like, are you still teaching Nuwaupic, or have you updated to the Nuwaupu, the newest script?
I really understand this question, but I was teaching. I don't have no video of me teaching Nuwaupic per se. He might have had a video of me talking. I was talking about, that was a question that I was answering that, what's his name, Reggie on Sonetta had talked about, something that him and Hui Ka were arguing over. And it was about the fact that, was Nuwaupic the first language? And I was answering that question, basically. I wasn't teaching Nuwaupic. I was just addressing the question, was Nuwaupic the first language? Because, you know, Hui Ka, like I said, he was getting into a discourse and he wasn't probably quite sure on some of the things that Reggie was trying to say, because Reggie was like, where, you know, name the source of where our people said they was teaching Nuwaupian, basically.
Yeah, a lot of people
And so
try to trap us in stuff like that.
right. And so I was addressing I was addressing that question and giving an answer, because I had a discourse with Reggie and I told him I would address it basically and answer what we were saying, because like I said to these brothers, basically, I said, one of the problems is that I think before individuals, they pick things out of our books. But the question really is, when you're reading any one of our books, I ask them, what is the thesis of the book before you comment on sections of it? Do you understand what the book was actually trying to say or teach? Because most of them didn't do that. They just pluck and pick like that female did, Dr. Ma'at. She plucked and picked out of the black book and thought she was sounding deep, when she admitted she didn't even finish reading the book.
That's right.
And yet she wants to give a dissertation on a book she claims she didn't finish reading. So how can you give an argument about a book, a section in the book, but you didn't read the book? You don't know anything about the author, anything like that, and why certain concepts were being said. And so, you know, that's really disingenuous to sit there and give a lecture to the whole public as if you're an authority on something and somebody is wrong, when you admit that you really didn't study it. So, you know, I was just trying to address why we said what the master was saying, the origins of Nuwaupian, and why we taught that that's what our ancestors spoke, basically. You know, and that was it. That was it. But I don't think you'll find a video of me trying to teach Nuwaupian or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and what's the this is me actually asking this question. What's the name of that video? Because I think I've seen it. I don't know if I've seen it before, or if I haven't, I would like to actually check that out.
I put a video out. It's on our YouTube channel. It's called The Origin of the Black Woman and the Black Man.
Okay.
Basically. And so all I was talking about is that trying to introduce our people into the concept that we all originated from the suns. We personified from the sons of the universe. And so that's what the discussion was about, basically.
Okay.
And so we did it in a answering question format, like what the master teaches. And so that's kind of what we were talking about.
Yeah, Mutaloop says overstood. Tahem.
Gotcha.
Good. Anything else, Kansu?
No, just I would also like to build with you brothers further, definitely in the future, definitely like to do that as well. So that's about
All
it.
right, family. We're gonna let y'all go, family. I ain't gonna hold you because I wanted to shift gears right quick. Y'all welcome to stay on the line if you wanted to, but I'm getting ready to. It's the boring part. I gotta do a little reading. But I'd like to thank y'all for coming through. I appreciate you for clearing up the misconceptions, especially about Sarnetta TV, because boy, he has some cats hot. But now you know that y'all explained it. It's not as bad when you talk and reason things out. It's not as bad as it seems, you know. So Sarnetta, my humble apologies for, you know, taking you the wrong way, and all those in the family as well. All right.
Yeah, that's all love. We definitely appreciate, you know, you giving us the platform and the time on the show, you know, as well as Sarnetta. It's all love between all of us. So.
Oh yeah, let's get that encyclopedia up and running, family.
Yes, indeed.
All right, now fear Gara.
All right, Wadu, y'all.
Wadu.
All right, so Kansu Ray. Yeah, boy. I'm glad they came through. Mutaloop says he apologized to the brothers as well. Yeah, they like I said, when I met them live and in color, I said these brothers, they not like that Tarnumbu cat and all these that like I can't even remember that other brother's name who was talking about his little calendar, whatever he was talking about. See, they misconstrue things. You know what I'm saying? It's good to talk to people straight up, and we do need an encyclopedia with an all African database. Hey, that's a project in itself. So big up to those brothers, and you know, let's support them and let's get it done. Also, all eyes on Egypt, Atlanta. Go to the GoFundMe page, family. I'm gonna hit my King Noble Black Supremacy on y'all. Donate. All right. You know what I'm saying? As we see, we need spots to chill and to do what we do. And the fact that the brothers are having a chess night is pretty good. Chess is a very mentally stimulating game. And you know, and a lot of brothers are playing chess in life. You know what I mean? So we need to be on that as well. But let me read this here right here. This update is from Zamal Amun, Ma'at Geb. Also, big up to him too for his media coverage of the family. He's been making basically all the events. Philly, GAs, wherever he's out there. And Amun Ma'at Geb, much love to that brother right there, man. He's definitely in the field. You feel what I'm saying? I had to snatch this from his Facebook page. Now that I'm out of Facebook jail, family. Definitely go and watch what we type, watch what we say. But I'm gonna read this right here. It says, "Message to the African American, Panabab Yananan. Most Westerners, blacks are Asiatic blacks, not pure African blacks. Yet, like the light, are linked to our source. You're more Southeast Indian and Native American Indian than you wish to accept as a people. That's why we are a new being, a new race called Nuwaupian, or to the overseers as Nuwaupu. With our own tongue, Nuwaupic, and way of life in our culture, our whole way of thinking and our natural etheric forms is unlike any other the world over. There are, for now, these actual facts about self and kind. You create and taste, smell, hear, see, and feel in your subconscious in a unique way, as well as growth, creations, and thoughts. You are ones of overseers, Muntaro, Empa Natharo. Now, my children, accept or reject will not change the facts. Your active natural ether energies of your brain, reasons, and also spirit beings are creative energies of natural nature to become mind and reason. That is thinking as the right knowledge, the right wisdom, the right understanding, the right overstanding with sound right reasoning. The power of your soul as 9 ether beings in body and spirit. However, if energy, no matter what kind, is to go emitting or emanating, it must have a producing source and a base to the soul's, minds, and a reason of nature. The brain's natural ether energies are indeed that source and a unity for brain energies, which in our case is that source or base. Now understand this. The prime mover in material existences is the first particles of matter, hydrogen, H1, on the atomic elemental chart to move toward putting matter into order. Hydrogen onto helium in atomic energy and cells to organism in atomic energy, and that's prime mover. So natural ether energy of the brain are the highest quality particles in material and of matter, and they produce and constitute brain. The natural ether energies are very sensitive to conditions surrounding and involving them for both kinds of ether. Ether physiology in energy, ether chemically in elemental energy. So in fact, when conditions are exactly right and ready for orderly movement, the magically magnetized attraction miraculously, supernaturally, come together and produce what is called a brain core and egg or seed, and then begin to melt down, indicating that conditions are just right for the production and reproduction of the next organism due to exist. Interdimensional beings travel by jumping at will to different dimensions. They can take on any form. They are shapeshifters. Panatharu are interdimensional beings. Extraterrestrials usually only appear to their own. Actual fact, natural ether energy, Panabab Yanan. All right. So with that being said, family, we are out, man. Unless you got anything, Kansu, anything
Nope.
about Kundalini energy, man. Anything about, the chakras, man. You want to just chime in on, or you good?
No, they pretty much hit the nail on the head.
Oh yeah, because like I said, I've been reading, and like I said, most of these gurus, swamis, teachers, and everything, and you know, they're talking about the dangers of opening up the Kundalini energy, the third eye, and all that. Most, like I said, it mostly relates to Hinduism.
Most, I'm gonna tell you this. Most people haven't even opened 90%, over 90% have not actually opened any of their chakras. They talking about they have not. I'm just telling you that right now.
Especially with. Go ahead.
No, just say and there's a comment in the chat that says Kundalini can't help people because it's a pseudo claim. Anybody who does martial arts or Muntu arts know that that's ridiculous, because you'll be able to do different things, you know, with your own energy systems. Asians call it chi or ki.
Breath, breathing.
Yeah. That's ridiculous, and it's utterly false with that claim. Because even the Shaolin monks, for anybody who does not know, can do things unlike, you know, anything that, you know, a lot of people can do or anything like that. And for any of those who have seen the movie 300 and thought that was a great movie, there was a
Brad Pitt.
No, that was Troy. 300 was with
Troy. Okay.
300 was with Gerard Butler, and he took 300 Spartans against 10,000 Persians. They thought that was impressive. But there was a story, I don't know if it was true, but they say it is. It's a story about 10 Shaolin monks against 10,000 people, and they fought all these people and won, and they didn't have any weapons.
They sound like that's the Mahdi story, you know. Like I said, we just had our. Let's talk about that, Francis. Everybody's, like I said, tripping off Independence Day and all this and all that.
Man, see, people don't even realize, and this is why I'm surprised that we had. I don't know if Nuwaupians had fireworks or we just happened to be around fireworks and they were recording. But I don't, you know, if anybody who does or does not know, fireworks is actually a Chatterbin ritual, or a ritual regarding the Elohims and the Anunnaki. For anybody who does not know, it's a fire ritual.
That's right, the god of light and fire.
Right. So for anybody who does or does not know, that's what that's involved with. So I don't get involved with fireworks personally. I'm not impressed. I mean, if once you see fireworks, it's like, okay, cool. You know, maybe when you're young, okay, it's impressive because you know you never seen that before. But once you get older, it's like, okay, it's it's redundant. Really, it's fireworks.
That's Khanum Hatep Abab is saying chakras are pseudo. I don't know about that one, Khanum. You're gonna have to explain yourself. What do you mean by chakras are pseudo? Because those are seats in the body that are acknowledged all throughout the world. Mutalub says, I heard it said by one of the brothers teaching in Brooklyn that said, be careful about opening chakras because you haven't been taught how to close them, so you can be in danger.
That's true.
Now, there are people who have opened up
the third eye and went nuts.
Or portals. Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Etheric portals and went nuts and went crazy.
Yeah.
And all got possessed.
Once again, the whole chakra thing's being pseudo. If you've ever heard of the walking death punch, for instance,
death punch.
For instance, one great example in the movie is Kill Bill. It was like a 5-fingered walking death punch. My father, who has practiced martial arts for well over 40 years, which is that's longer than half these people have been alive.
Yeah, right.
Developed his own martial arts system and everything. That's very real. He told me that, there's places in the body you can hit somebody and they will die within that week. And it will look like they died of cardiac arrest, and it's untraceable. So
I agree with that, because like I said, that's why they tell you when you study martial arts, right? The first thing I was taught is pressure points.
Yes. My father told me not to hit people at certain points, so.
Oh no, I'm trying.
I'm aware. No, I'm not doing that.
I'm trying to get you up off me. I'm trying to get this over with. I ain't got time for the drama and all that Tyson, Foreman, and all this Ali Frazier fighting in the street. I'm trying to knock you out and keep it going and keep it moving. Tap tap, and and you gone. Right. You know what I'm saying? And but it's in self-defense, because I was reading that martial arts and things of that nature is for self-defense. Even Bruce Lee, I watched all his movies, of course, and then, he was like, even when you got to a certain point after you defeated your enemy, he never was like overkill. Bruce would get up off you, but if you threatened to kill him, that's when he really went to work on you.
Right,
but if
and
you
for instance, I've like I said, he says, he keeps saying it's pseudo, but I'll tell you, like I said, I've seen this. Like I said, my father, he does this demonstration, and there's many people that will be around. Doesn't matter if people around. He showed me this thing so many times that I can even do it. It's not even hard. Okay, he will move his arms in a specific notion in a specific manner, right? Well, first he'll tell you put your arm up, right, and tell you like out to the side, until you try to resist it. Don't let him force it down. If you're a strong individual, he's not gonna be able to push your arm down because he's not gonna push it hard. He said, okay, cool. And what he'll do is he'll move his arms a specific way, circular motion going counterclockwise, right? Now it looks graceful. You have no idea what he's doing, okay? And then once he's done, he'll tell you put your arm back up, right? Because he'll tell you put it down. He'll tell you put your arm back up. Don't let him push it down, and you won't be able to resist it. Your arm will be, you can't. He'll be able to push it down because what he's doing is, and it's like I say, it seems almost like it's fake. And I'll tell you right now, for people who will look outside looking in, I don't care what you say because you're outside looking in. I've done it. Okay, it's not spookism. I had no idea what he's doing, so it's not like I'm playing along or anything like that. If you don't practice martial arts, whatever, you don't know. I can't get mad at you for not knowing. And what he does, he explains that is a particular way you weaken someone's energy. Energy is real. I don't care where you look at it or not. If you do want to know the scientific method for it, look up the scientific method for energy.
See, brothers like Kanum, he's what you call terrestrial, right? Because when you refuse to acknowledge your own body has chakra seats and energy and things of that nature, that's mortal. I don't have no problem with it. If you say chakras are pseudo, boom, cool.
The master even explains that, when you breathe out, like
somebody like that,
he even explains it the simplest way. You breathe in oxygen, you breathe out carbon. This fire needs to sustain itself. Oxygen, it gives off carbon.
Now, well, here's the funny part. How are you gonna have an Egyptian name with Kanum Hatep and then don't recognize the Egyptian science of chakras? That's what I'm tripping off of. So that's why I said some people just disagree with you on purpose just to try to get you to really teach. You know what I mean? So like I said, change your name. Go back to the unless you were named from birth by your parents. Go back and pick a slave name like Johnny or Reggie.
Because even when you say Amun Hare or Amun Hare, that's even an example of the hidden sun within, which is your solar plexus.
So
right.
Which is in one of the chakra seats. And so if you don't believe you have a solar plexus, when you breathe out your air, right, or you breathe out and you on your hand you feel heat. Where does the heat come from if you don't have a solar plexus? So I don't
not to mention when they say you have a temperature, your body is at over 100, over 98.6, and then when you know what I'm saying, and when you die, your body is cold. So I don't even
here's the thing. Here's where he goes. Here's where he said, show me where science approves such foolery. You mean show you where the white man says that you can accept it? You follow that?
The European is just now getting hip to it.
And they talking about it on YouTube and everything.
Yeah, he's just getting hip to it. The Orientals know about it, and where they get it from? They got it from us, because where they even get martial arts from? Us. So
as I say,
I didn't even want to address it, to be honest with you, because really it's a waste of time. But
yeah. Like I said, brothers like that, when like I said, when I'm teaching on the street and cats like him roll up and go, oh, that's pseudo. I go, you know what? You're right. And that's just my way to get rid of them.
And it's no disrespect. It's just like, if you don't know about something, I'm not going to knock you if you don't know. But
you don't know.
Can't look it up. That's all I'm going to say. Look it up. Look at what we said about, everybody else. Because when you hear about chakras and Kundalini, you hear about mostly from the East Indian aspect. But look at it from the African aspect as well. What did we say about the system? You know what I'm saying? Because we had it, which even when you talk about the enads.
Well, now I see the importance of that encyclopedia that they talk about, because now you'll be able to go to African sources to find these things. But like I said, if the brother considers it foolery, let him stay ignorant, man.
Right. So even when you talk about the 9 enads, right? The enads, right? You're even talking about the 9 chakras. They give you 9 going up that way. That's another reference, or another way we reference the chakras or the chakra system, for lack of a better term, so everybody knows what I'm talking about here. But that's another another example. So lowest chakra, for instance, and then Re would be the one at the top.
All right, let me
Because he was
let's switch gears right quick while I got you, online right quick. Because I've been wanting to ask this for a minute. Yeah, because I ain't worried about I'm about to ether him. There you go.
Right, okay. And he wants it in the middle net. All right, I'm gonna tell you.
Wait, because I don't study the metal netter.
No, don't ether him. Don't ether him.
I'm gonna let you deal with him because, like I said, I mean,
I'm gonna give you this, brother. If you don't, take it to be serious. Look up if Mfundishu, who teaches Meduneta. If you want to look up the Meduneta, I can speak to you in that point of view because I've been studying it myself, so I understand. Look up Sachem Shen Ra, or under Mfundishu, he'll tell you about the Sachem Shen Ra.
Right. Type that in the chat room. But while you working on that, yeah, I'm gonna let him do what he do. Yeah, because hopefully Mfundishu, one of or Dr. Reggie or Shaka Amos can wake him up. You know what I'm saying? Now there's that, or Dr. Ben Ashwa Kwesi. All of them know about the chakras, brother. All these other teachers on Kemet can help you. So it just ain't about us. You can get sources from all over. And if you doubt them that chakras exist, then there's no help for you. But I'm through with you myself. All right, here's a question for the chat room now. Are some of these shootings of African people in America fake?
Probably.
Or staged? Some, because I've been watching, like I said, I was rapping with one of the brothers today. I say this. I said the Trayvon Martin shooting was fake. Now, then he hit me with, yes, I do. But then well, the reason why is because when I did the research, what I found online and from different people, truth seekers, Team Wake Up, who have pages on YouTube that broke it down, they were like saying, well, there's no information on Trayvon Martin as far as his birth date. All kinds of information is missing. The same thing with your mans out there in Ferguson, Mike Brown, right? They took that name from somebody who died out there in Seattle, this, that, and the third. And all of these things were, these shootings, some of them were. Now, I believe the killings in Chicago was real this weekend, because that Chicago shot, that's just ridiculous. And once again, it wasn't the white man, it wasn't the Arab, the East Indian, the Jew. All these people who think black people say they're against us, is us killing us. And for what? I don't get it. And then you want to blame other races of people for us killing us. We are killing each other 3 times the rate faster than what the police is. What is the intellectual community gonna do about it? That's what's pissing me off, really. And niggas want to ignore it and have debates about Hebrew Israelites. I don't give a damn about no Hebrew Israelites. And they don't consider themselves African. The one thing I do respect about them Hebrew Israelites, they ain't going around killing each other. That's for sure. You understand me? Whether they in Chicago, California, New York, Atlanta, wherever they at, I don't hear about them killing each other. They are doing what they do in their hood. Now, they don't consider themselves African, though. They look African to me. How you gonna say you're not African, but you got 9 ether hair? That escapes me. But, my only thing with the Hebrew Israelites is, when are one of y'all gonna step up and translate the Torah for y'all people? I don't care who do it. I know Tazariak ain't got the linguistic skills to do it. One of y'all gotta do it. Or all y'all come together and do it. I know some of them got El's Holy Torah in their closet. I already know El Holy Torah ain't no joke. So before y'all get to start banging on the master teacher, bang on yourselves why y'all haven't translated a Torah for y'all people yet. All right. That's that on that with them. Because they having a barbecue, right? Coming up on August 5th. Not to give them a plug, but I don't care. But I bet ain't no African people invited. And now how are we supposed to unify with people like that don't respect us as African people, as a culture? Then you say, well, if an African converts to being a Hebrew Israelite, he's a second-class citizen, or she's a second-class citizen. Feel me? I like that shit. Goddamn sense. Leave them Hebrew Israelite brothers alone and keep it moving. Them Abrahamic religions cannot help us. But that's what we're here for, to wake our people up, to keep them falling in the trap. But nevertheless, and then, like I said, the reason why I said some of the shootings are fake, let's go to the South Carolina thing. Your man's I don't forgot the white boy name. Dylan Roof, whatever his name is. That don't make no sense. He do what he do, or allegedly. Then they catch him, and the first thing they do is take him to Burger King? Come on, man. That ain't making no sense. FEMA drills were going on in that area that day, by the way. And then the victim, the first thing they say is, oh, it's love. We forgive him. Love, love, love. Here it is. Your mama body ain't even cold yet. And you talking about forgiving him and talking about, man, BS. I mean, it should be more emotional response in that, because, like I said, the girl who just got 20 years for setting somebody up on a date app, her people went off in the courtroom. Oh, my baby got 20 years. Oh. You mean to tell me this dude kills your people and you ain't got no emotion? Come on, man. A lot of that, you know what I mean? And I can go on and on and on. Those are just things that they're trying to get this agenda with this new world order thing going down. And, you know, it's a lot going on. You know what I'm saying? And here's another thing, another question what I ran into on Facebook. Can sun gazing help African people? What is sun gazing?
Depends on the level of sun gazing you talking about. Are you talking about?
I don't know.
I don't even go there. You know, I've had conversations about that before. I'm just like
sun gazing. Now, what is sun gazing? Sun gazing when you just go outside and just look into the sun, sit outside, pull up a lawn chair, and you just look into the sun for hours. Is that what people do?
Yep, that's why I said I don't even want to get into that.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Now, did our ancestors all salafu?
No.
We didn't do that. Okay.
I already knew what you were going to ask. No, we didn't.
Well, you know I'm going to ask that. Okay.
That's so the East Indian, and because even the master goes into this in a video years ago. He says there are such things as levels of extremes. In the East Indian, one of their yogi practices back in the days they would do is stare into the sun to get to the point where they would become blind.
Mm-hmm.
And the master said, we ain't do that.
Okay. So there it is.
Yeah, no, that ain't us.
What is Mutalub talking about? It says, Mutalub says to me, I would disagree about the argument of us killing each other. Mukasu have been killing each other for decades, yet it has not stopped them from progressing. Akpo. Let's stop right there. One, the Mukasu is a killer by nature because he has his nature from his overlords, the Pleiadians, who are killers. They drink blood, etc., etc. They are flesh-eating type of beings. That's one. So the nature of killing is installed from them from their overlords. We are not killers by nature. The reason why we are killing is because some of us have these, quote, Anunnaki or Pleiadian or killer genes in us from forced genetic mixing.
Not even that. I mean, the simple aspect is the master teacher explained on Tamaray. Well, back then with Kadesh, he said, we are just simply out of our minds.
Hello.
You know, we're just out of our minds. And that shows because, you know, I can't tell you how many times where I can turn on the news or turn on the television and hear a person's voice and then look at it like, dang, I thought that dude was white. It's a brother. You know, you know how many times that's happened. You know, and I showed my mom and pop the movie Get Out, and they was like, "Whoa, that was weird." But my mom's Nuwaupian, so she was catching on to that aspects in the movie. Yeah, and the science as well. But yeah, we completely out of our minds. And the brother that made the movie, for those who do not know, is a comedian that made the movie, but he's with a white woman. So,
well, a lot of brothers get this little paper and they mix in with the Caucasian woman. But here's the thing: that a lot of black men are sacrificing their souls when they have a child. And see, the Caucasian woman is sent out after the Nagaru man because they know that they need our genetics to survive in this sun cycle, and their children will be more loyal to their mother, who is Caucasian. You know, I listened to Phil Valentine, this lecture he did on how Barack Obama was Malcolm X's son. I don't know where that came from, but I don't, despite all his forensics, it was an excellent presentation type of lecture, very interesting. I don't think, why would you, as a European power structure, put Malcolm X's son as the president of America? Yeah, why would you do that? That's it's not making no sense. So
Nah.
Maybe Brother Valentine needs to come up with a follow-up with that one. What are you gonna say? President Trump is now Idi Amin's son.
look, look, assassin. And with that, I gotta cook dinner.
Oh yeah, man. All right,
That,
family. Nafir Gara, what do?
what do you saw?
Oh.